Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. An Iranian naval frigate has sunk off the southern coast of Sri Lanka, triggering a major rescue and search operation by the Sri Lankan authorities and raising serious questions about whether the widening conflict in the Middle East has spilled on into one of the world's busiest maritime corridors. Let's unpack the situation in deep dive today. The vessel at the center of this incident is the IRIS Dena, a Mauj class frigate operated by the Iranian Navy's Southern Fleet. Mauj class means domestically produced Iranian light frigates. It is described as both destroyer and frigate by the English media. This is a domestically built warship designed for patrol and combat missions in regional waters. It displaces roughly 1,300 to 1,500 tons and carries a range of anti-ship missiles, naval guns and torpedo launchers. The ship also includes a helicopter landing pad and radar systems capable of tracking multiple targets. This point is important to note, as this could be one of the reasons why it was struck, if it was struck at all. A military analyst based in Chennai said the vessel would have been heavily armed, carrying Qadr anti-ship missiles, a 76mm naval gun and torpedo systems, amongst other weapons. According to Sri Lanka defense officials, the warship issued a distress call at around 5:30 a.m. local time while operating approximately 40 nautical miles off the coastal city of Gal. The ship was said to be just outside Sri Lanka's territorial waters, but within its designated search and rescue zone. Sri Lanka's Navy and Air Force responded swiftly. 2 naval vessels and a surveillance aircraft were deployed to the area. Foreign Minister Vijitha Herath confirmed in Parliament that Colombo acted under its international obligations after receiving the distress signal. He stated that Sri Lanka had launched a full-scale rescue mission to assist the sinking frigate. Sri Lankan authorities said they were withholding video footage of the rescue operation because it involved the military assets of another country. But the big question is, what was this frigate doing in the Sri Lankan waters? Iranian naval deployment in the region has been relatively rare. The IRIS Dena had been participating in diplomatic naval activities in the weeks before the incident. In February, the frigate attended the International Fleet Review in the Indian port city of Visakhapatnam, where it docked alongside ships from multiple countries. The Indian Navy had extended a warm welcome to the frigate as it arrived in Visakhapatnam in the third week of February. On your screens, you can see the images from 2024 when IRIS Dena participated in Milan, which is the Indian Navy exercise. In these pictures, the ship is docked on Indian ports. What happened next remains a subject of confusion and contradiction. Initial reports from sources within Sri Lankan Navy and Defence Ministry suggest that the vessel may have been struck by a submarine-launched weapon. According to those sources, more than 100 sailors were believed to be missing and dozens were injured as a result of what was described as an intense attack. Some officials say the damage appeared inconsistent with a submarine strike, although no specific submarine or country was identified. As of the latest updates, between 30 and 79 sailors have been rescued and brought ashore, with many admitted to Karapithya Teaching Hospital in Gal. The frigate was believed to be carrying a crew of around 180 sailors at the time of the incident, with the significant number still unaccounted for. Officials warned that the final casualty toll could rise sharply in the coming days. As we all know, this incident unfolds against the backdrop of a rapidly escalating conflict involving the United States, Israel and Iran. The possibility that the latest incident could be connected to that broader campaign has not been ruled out, though there is no official confirmation of any direct link. One senior Sri Lankan official noted that United States Navy Ohio-class submarines routinely patrol the Indian Ocean from the strategic base at Diego Garcia. Maritime tracking data and sightings are now being examined, but authorities have stressed that no conclusions can be drawn at this stage. Sri Lanka, for its part, has maintained a policy of neutrality in international conflicts, yet its geographic position places it along crucial shipping lines linking Asia, the Middle East and Europe. Naval vessels from the United States, China and India regularly transit these waters, making any military incident in the region a matter of global concern. Joining us live at this point is Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, defense expert. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, what do you believe prima facie happened to this vessel?
Well, it is early days. There are all kinds of news that is floating in right now. So it is very difficult to ascertain. But what we are given to understand is, you've already mentioned what has happened. It apparently looks like a US submarine which has brought down this vehicle. This ship, and US has publicly stated that it is committed to bring down the entire Iranian Navy and drown it in the sea. And so if it spots any vessel anywhere in the world, this is bound to happen. And we are living in times of war. And if Iran tomorrow gets such an opportunity, it will do the same. If Israel gets the opportunity, it will do the same. And this is what happens when it is during the times of such intense conflict. This is a full-fledged war. Please don't take it as some kind of a low-intensity conflict or a skirmish. It is a full-fledged war, which means an enemy seen is an enemy to be killed. Now, it depends on which side you see this from. It is unfortunate that there were more than 100 lives which were on board that ship. But I've been given to understand that Sri Lankan Navy did respond to the, calls made by the sailors, and they have rescued somewhere around 32 people in this whole episode. The fate of the remaining remains unknown, and we will have to watch for updates on the story.
Okay. Also, this then raises the question. Currently, we are seeing, of course, a closure in the Strait of Hormuz. That is having an effect on shipping activity, on trade, and of course also on oil supply. But do we expect, given what has happened now with this vessel, the conflict to affect more waters, more parts of the maritime region?
See, primarily the fight is between Israel, US and Iran, with the entire Gulf region being affected. So far, the Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia, which has got reasonably a capable force, has not stepped in because they are already seeing Iran being decimated to the maximum. And therefore, they are all ensuring that they maintain their calm, right? So that is one part of the story. But when you talk from the Iranian side, they are trying their level best to ensure that they, put forward a very credible fight so that they don't go down in the eyes of their own population. At the same time, they also want to send the world a message that it is no pushover a state. What Trump mistook was that, like Venezuela, he will have it easy in under 6 hours. Iran is a very different kind of a territory. It's a very different kind of a force. And the Shia population, for them, martyrdom is part of their life. It doesn't matter to them whether they live or whether they get killed. That's the mindset with which most of these population grow up with. So looking into this, so it has now adopted a multi-pronged strategy. The first strategy was using missile and drone, use it to saturate the air defenses of the complete Gulf region and see if it can, in the process, attack assets of both the Israelis as well as the Americans. If it gets, these are brownie points that it can score. But what it also needs to understand is, and it very well understands, is it doesn't have a powerful air force. And today, when you don't have a credible air power deterrence on the battlefield, you are bound to get hit. Now, the problem is how much of a hit is okay, right? So Iran has already got hit to, beyond what is acceptable. So now what US can do is it has already targeted, I think, there are around 20 odd waves which has gone between US and the Israelis, and in the 20 odd waves they have literally decimated all possible military, nuclear, missile launch pads that is possible. Now what they have to destroy is probably civilian infrastructure, VAs, vital assets and vital points, which could be the oil reserves and things like that, which the US may be constrained because they wouldn't want to touch that right now, because if that leads to a collapse, then Iran becomes a land which nobody would want to touch. So there is a problem for the US from that angle. Iran also knows that.
Yes.
The second part is the Strait of Hormuz, which is the energy weapon, which Iran is very effectively using. Today, in fact, they've also passed an order saying that only Chinese vessels will be allowed to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this brings a very interesting paradigm. If a Chinese vessel decides to move past the Strait of Hormuz, and if the Israelis wouldn't attempt to target a Chinese vessel,
Yes.
but if the US
Yes.
attempts to target a Chinese
Yes.
vessel, then the front is
Okay.
getting bigger.
All right. Well, for the time being, my thanks to you, Wing Commander Sudhakaran, for joining us with your perspective on this segment.